Ladies and gentlemen, this is internet personality Vangelus, here with a review of Skids, Transformers Revenge of the Fallen's own MC Paddington. That's with D's here in Canada, T's down in the States, and I believe they use W's over in Europe. He's a green beat. I actually have a small problem with this vehicle mode, and it's only because I went looking for pictures of what it actually looks like, because I was having a crazy day with my Gundam markers, and no, I didn't actually do anything to him, but I wish he had a black stripe along the bottom. I think that really kind of completes the frame of this car, and with the black hood it would have made it a little bit more dynamic, although I like the stripy things on the sides. Now, his transformation is interesting. It takes a lot of the Movie 2 stuff I've seen so far, that being solid complexity, but kind of shirks a bit of the solidity to be a bit more robots in disguise-ish, or car robots-ish. Also, it's interesting that he very much resembles two of his boys, hired muscle I've seen him use around town, that being X-Brawn and Red Inferno Alert. But that's besides the point. His transformation is a little complex, but once you get the hang of it, it's not all that bad. In fact, it's a little bit ingenious in some sense. The entirety of the sides of the car here, most of them anyway, fold all the way down and then wrap around his legs. Now, when I first saw this, I thought, wonderful, something that's going to be completely loose and unworkable for me. And I was wrong. It pegs in place quite solidly. By the way, also, I was thinking these things were going to snap off. Oh, look, they fold away. Now, they peg into the side of his shin, and I'm not sure if this is on purpose, but the design of where the peg goes in, along with the axis of where this thing turns, means that once they're pegged in place, you can move these things up and down on his shins. Kind of like, honestly, I don't know what these are like at all, but I'm sure sometime in the future we'll have fashion much akin to this look, and we'll look back on this fondly and wonder who the genius was that was the Nostradamus of our day. His arms are stored quite nicely in the back. Of course, he has no real interior because of how much stuff they stuffed in here. The entire top shell of the car pulls off. Something else I wasn't expecting. And then this all rotates around, and in mid-rotation, flipping his head up is a good idea. Rotating this can be tricky because there's tabs and things that can get in the way, and you might want to move things around a bit. This guy's transformation is one of those ones where things will often smack into other things, but the gist of it is pretty simple. Also, all this stuff is going to accordion together in a sort of calculated cacophony of plastic. Before we get to that, though, I'm going to flip this in, because I'm cool like that. His arms are, as I said, very different. One of them's little, and one of them's big. But they do a pretty good job of staying out of the way during all of this, and that's where this guy's ingenuity really comes into play, in my opinion, is how a lot of these parts will avoid getting in the way once you figure out where to put everything. The order of how to click them all together here is kind of up to you, but there's pegs that will go into holes pretty clearly, and then you'll start saying, hey, why aren't these going in place? The toy doesn't work! And then you realize you have to move things up and around here, move this higher, and eventually, once you find that perfect point, everything will kind of just click together like a zen of plastic. Also, this part implodes into there. Now here's the part that'll feel like you're going to break the toy, and I can guarantee you that you're not. But you have to push this thing in, and then you have to shove these parts in like that. And thus we have solved the problem that apparently plagued most of China, in that this backpack can actually fold up really nicely. Once, as I said, you get this zen of plastic cacophony all lined up, which can be tricky. But I think I found it. I found Shangri-La, ladies and gentlemen. And the backpack does a really cool job of compressing together in a fairly impressive manner, and then it just pegs into the back of his neck there. I'll just give you a side shot so you can get a bit of a vantage of just how much compression has gone on here. Also, you want to flip these things up because they told you to do it. There's like 3 or 4 layers of framework that's crushed together down here. Most of the top of the car has compressed into a nice backpack. So I really got to give him kudos. His design is pretty solid, although it's not quite as overtly solid as one might be used to from Sideways or Sideswipe. He has a gimmick, which is that he does this, and when he does this, a little gun comes out, which is attached to the switch. It's actually just one piece of plastic. He can also knuckle up and down, because, you know, he's got the cash, he's MC Paddington, and he can also do some mostly useless hand posing, because his fingers are going to remain curled up like that, although you can kind of have him thinking, like, what am I going to do with my ladies tonight, huh? Also, mine did come missing a paint app, but I added it in myself. You see, MC Paddington, one of the first things he did before his rap career really took off was he had his teeth done up pretty nicely. Done up with some colors to show his bling, and you can sort of see them here. I'll arch his magnificent visage up for you all. He had this done, I think, primarily just to show, you know, Mama back home that he meant his business. But he does have one gold and one silver tooth. If I'm going to besmirch this for anything, it's going to be the fairly ludicrous request that they micro-inscribe a tiny Autobot symbol on his gold tooth as per his design. But you really can't hold it against a toy that's this small because that's the size of my finger. I also like his monocle because that shows his European roots. He also has one last gimmick, which is his Mech Alive. And you push in his chest, and he beatboxes. He beatboxes something real. Now, I know a lot of you are thinking, MC Paddington, what? He's got to be, you know, one of the Idiot Brothers. No, sir. I was privy to early drafts of Revenge of the Fallen. Namely, I wrote them when I saw the trailer. Now, they may not accept those as real drafts, but we all know that the true story of this boy is that he is MC Paddington. His brother Mudflap sold his brain to fund his rap career. Unfortunately, MC Paddington has something of an attitude.
Who the hell are you stepping in on my turf?
Hey, I'm the new shizzle in town, yo. And you ain't ever gonna forget who I am. The name's Paddington. You dig? You think you got anything on my posse? Cheers, you are done for.
You ain't gonna get away with this, Paddington!
As for articulation, MC Paddington is pretty well loaded. He's got double-jointed elbows, all the arm posability you could really ask for, a gimmick that goes off constantly. Wrist posability even, which solves a problem I have with this arm, which is that it's a curling iron arm, but given the size of it, I can kinda let it go. Ball-jointed neck, although slightly limited by the backpack connection. No waist, unfortunately, but fully jointed legs, including semi-double joints on the legs, but this stuff, for all its posability and its cleanliness, it does get in the way a lot. Also, ball-jointed ankles, which are a huge help. Overall, he's a pretty solid toy. Now, the thing is, you may not be able to see past his design. His design is very characterful. It's very clear that he is Skids from Revenge of the Fallen. It's very clear he's MC Paddington, future rap star of the entire universe. If you cannot deal with how he looks, you're not going to like the toy. I said this before about Sideways, and I was proven wrong. Lots of people said that the video made them like the toy, and they hadn't liked it before, but really, you have to look at this guy. You have to look at him in the face. Now, if you can deal with this, or if you think this looks cool, you're going to love this toy. It's a very well-engineered, solid toy. If this kills it for you, I can't really convince you otherwise. If that really doesn't do it for you in any way at all, I gotta say, don't bother with the toy. However, if you think the design's fine, or if you at least find it tolerable, this is a toy well worth picking up. He's, as I said, loaded up with all kinds of personality, all kinds of solid engineering. A really great toy if you like the design. I'm going to be repeating this, I think, a lot as the Revenge of the Fallen movie reviews continue coming out. This is a toy line that I think is going to be very solidly engineered, but aimed at a very specific aesthetic market. Anyway, this has been Internet Personality Vangelus. I hope you enjoyed the review, and don't worry, I'm sure MC Paddington and Omega Supreme will learn to get along. After all, nothing bad ever happens around here. We're one big happy family. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen. Until next time.
By the alternity, know the truth.
Ain't nothing personal, you dig? I don't see much reason why we had to get a broad dressed up in a costume like that. I could have had Spider Lady any day of the week. You let me work my wiles on her.
There was no time to secure her loyalty. Besides, we've already given you one consort. The arachnoid may yet join our cause. Baron Ransack von Joy will notify you of any occurrences.
Shiz, it's your show, dawg. You just make sure MC Paddington gets what's coming to him. You dig?
Oh, fear not. When our plan is complete, you and your brother will have all the women you will ever need.